Yeah. Is that Twitch? Hello! Happy Monday, all of you fantastic Aptos developer community. Welcome to another Move Monday. We're very excited to be here. As you can see that we are very quickly overgrowing this room. I think we can do a quick round of introductions as our team is growing very quickly. I'll start with...
Hi, this is Pranav. It's my first day and looking forward to joining the fun.
My name is Max. I'm an engineer on the ecosystem team.
I'm Sherry. I run TESTNET.
I'm Brian, blockchain engineer, also joined very recently.
Hi, I'm Zekun. I steal David's introduction now, so I know now I'm building layer 1 for everyone.
I'm Daniel. I'm starting today. I'm a production engineer.
I'm Raj, starting today, technical writer for all your docs needs. Hit me up.
Yeah. I'm Avery, CTO.
I'm Rati. I'm a researcher. I'm trying to do anything to make blockchain scale.
David, wannabe code monkey.
I'm Sheetal. I'm working on the storage side.
I'm Andrew, just joined recently on the ecosystem team.
I'm Rusty, also a production engineer.
Greg, software engineer on blockchains and CLI right now. So,
Kent on ecosystem.
Fantastic. Before we go into the release notes, we want to do a couple of shout outs to some awesome members of our community. Some of these I think you'll recognize as they've been here more weeks than not. Thank you very much for being consistently awesome to those particular individuals. Sergey Pimenov is working on an NFT marketplace. He's previously done some work around NFT API on the JavaScript side and a wallet implementation as well. So it's really cool to see a full vision coming together here. Thank you, Sergey. Magnum 6 has another fantastic article. If you're not familiar, I highly recommend you take a look at all of his tutorials for Move, for working with the Aptos blockchain, for building projects on it. They're very well written, they're funny, and they're extremely informative. So we'll put a link to that in the Move channel, and I highly recommend you take a look. But there's a new article that he came out with specifically on authenticated Google Cloud and using Firebase auth with an Aptos wallet, which is super cool. Following up on the heels of our partnership announcement with Google Cloud. So Pondem has shared their Move IDE along, running in the browser, Playground upon a network. We'll also put a link to that in the Move language channel. It's neat. You can play around with writing some Move scripts. You can do a little bit of debugging, execution, to kind of start getting your feet wet in the Move ecosystem without having to install the full toolchain. There is also Jason Zen, who shared the Easy Monitor tool, nodex.run. I've seen a lot of people using it to validate that their full nodes are running correctly. There's also aptos.tools by Jenny, who has put together a list of a lot of our community projects for node runners, for developers, etc. APT Get 420 has created a Git issue, thank you, APT Get 420, to coordinate discussions around authentication key rotation. I highly recommend that if this is something that is interesting to you, that you hop on and help us define standards and approaches going forward. Martian 1701 has a PR up for NFT functionalities in the TypeScript SDK, and I believe that may actually have been merged. So thank you, Martian 1701. Mac 111 has created a tutorial for people who are trying to use their own computer on Windows to install and run an Aptos node. And last but not least, Almer Ken Yenigan has a fantastic, adorable, wonderful GIF that he has made that we can also put a link to in the Move channel.
All the fancy things Max mentioned can be found in the community highlight channel, so highly recommend everybody check it out there.
Yeah, and thank you very much, everyone, again. We love the memes. We take a look at the content creation as well once in a while. You are a fantastic bunch of very creative people, and thank you for keeping the community going. Would you like to talk about release notes?
Sure. Last week we did another release There's new REST APIs coming into the repo, so feel free to check it out. You can get the resources and the modules by their IDs and resources type. Also, Greg worked on super amazing Aptos CLI now, support more and more functionality. So please check out Aptos. It's super simple, just Aptos as the CLI name. Check the help functions and see how do you use them. And give us feedbacks, please. Move has been updated to the latest version. If you don't notice, like Move language have moved to a new repo. So please check out the new upstream repo for Move language, and all the future development changes, issues, proposals will be happening there. We have the link also in the DevNet release notes. And Aptos indexer is landed. So if you wanted to play with the indexers or build on top of it and give us feedback, please check it out. It's also in our Aptos core repo. We also added the land blocking test. So right now, all of the PRs are landing on main branch have to pass our validation against a 30 validator node testnet in order to land it on the main. So actual safeties and testing coverage for all the changes landed on our repo. And again, full nodes, great. We're still looking at very great increase on the community. Now we have nodes spread across more than 50 countries. So thank you all for running the nodes, and let us know if you have any feedbacks or questions. Another shout outs to the community for helping us making the documentations and then making all the CLIs and tooling better. So thank you all. Yeah, that will be it.
Exciting news. We released our Aptos incentivized testnet plans this past week. It's a medium. If you have any questions, we can definitely take a few of them here today as well. I guess the highlights for the short term are, I believe, May 13th is when registration starts. We are working hard to make sure that there's a way to create an Aptos identity, that we have great tracking for everyone participating in this network, to make it really clear, what we are expecting and also what the rewards will be. So for those specifics, expect that coming very soon in the next few weeks.
Also, I wanted to make sure people notice, I saw a couple of you express some concerns on the first incentivized testnet. There's only 100 validator node we're going to accept for the first one. That's really because that's the first test we're going to run with the community. We wanted to make sure the process is validated before we create a chaos inviting hundreds of thousands of you guys. We are planned with multiple stages of incentivized testnet. We wanted to make sure everybody will have a chance to participate. Also, I wanted to make sure you guys notice running a node is not the only way to get reward incentivized for Aptos, the entire networks and the program. We have multiple in parallel programs will be going. We'll have bug bounties, Gitcoin programs, and rewards for submitting issues or helping us create features, helping us propose really great ecosystem projects, and on and on and on. So we will publish details once we have it ready, and we wanted to make sure you all getting all those informations as soon as we have them. So yeah, the first stage is coming soon, and we are expecting to onboard more and more, and a lot more than 100 people to participate in our incentivized program. So yeah, rest assured, you all will have a chance.
Yes, and we are having our first hackathon. It's local. It is a trial basically for us to really understand what running a hackathon is like, to make sure that our tooling will work. If you are in the Bay Area, please reach out to us if you'd like to come to our hackathon. We would love to have you. And this is the first of many that, eventually the goal is to do distributed hackathons globally, and have a lot of fun with everyone who can't physically be here as well. So with that, unless anyone else has any other updates, I think that takes us to the Q&A. Let's take a look at the questions in Discord. The questions this time are in the Move language channel specifically.
We only have basically one question.
what is Aptos and what are the differences from other blockchains?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm happy to guys. So just for those who don't know much about Aptos, like a lot of us, our team actually came from working on the DM blockchain for the last 3+ years. Obviously, we made a lot of improvements since then, but the idea of why we built Aptos in the first place was to actually service a wide number of non-crypto native users to come into Web3. When we were Facebook, we were thinking about the 4 billion monthly active users, many of them who are non-technical, and thinking about how they would provide safe, scalable access for them into decentralized databases. And so with that, we built out the Move language. We built a new blockchain called the DM blockchain with the intent that both of these would be very good building blocks for onboarding billions of people. And so we've got a bunch of white papers out there. You can take a look at our light paper about some of the technological differences, but we believe we will provide extremely safe, reliable, and scalable access to the infrastructure going forward.
One of the questions is, how and why is Aptos Move unique from other moves? That's a good question. We have 32-bit addresses, I think is one of the larger ones.
Yes, we have 32-byte addresses, which provides much greater security, so you don't have to worry about LAN squatting of addresses, which, if we were doing 16 bytes, which was the current fixed in Move, it's not computationally feasible to actually have such a situation. We also have tables upcoming, so that's going to be native tables with rich resource access, high parallelism. Let's see, are there anything?
Fine-grained storage coming.
Fine-grained storage is coming as well, which will be, similar to what I just mentioned with the tables, where the data for any given account is distributed across multiple different nodes, so you don't pay a huge cost for doing storage operations. Like right now, if you look at existing Move, if you were to start putting a lot of data onto an account, even the most trivial operation on that account would become very expensive from a gas process perspective, whereas in the fine-grained storage perspective, costs relatively remain the same regardless of how much data an individual account has hosted within its domain. Is there anything else that comes to mind? Yeah, so that's the key aspects that we've got going right now.
Also, we have a very, very nice HTTP REST endpoint.
Yes.
So we don't have to necessarily force users to know how BCS works and a bunch of other Move-specific things. This isn't directly Move, but it is our node, and it makes it really easy to build transactions and debug. Let's see, how did we manage to get Google involved in blockchain?
Sure, you want to do that?
Well, I guess Google believed in our mission, and Google also realized from a very typical a top Web2 companies, Web3 is a new industry they wanted to start investigating, and they saw us as a really good project in the market right now. We have lots of opportunities to help bring decentralizations, bring reliabilities. We agreed on the same missions, is that we wanted to serve the billions of users. It's the same kinds of principle as many of us previously from Meta. Google shared the same vision. Many of their product also serves billions of users, so they can't really risk of putting them into a product or infrastructure that's not suitable for that kind of a scale. And we agreed on the same principles, we agreed on the same mission, so we kind of clicked, and we wanted to work on something new together.
Next question. Creator, Aptoverse, fantastic question. That is definitely those are topics that will be covered on James's call on Wednesdays, which is more community focused, and this is focused more specifically for developers. You can be both, but those questions James is definitely much better equipped to handle. Why as a developer would you deploy on Aptos versus Ethereum or a L2 with rollup? I think that there's a lot of differences fundamentally between Aptos and other blockchains. When you look at some of the problems, the giant hack that happened with Black Hole, you look at recently the NFT lockup that happens even last week with a bug in the contract where there's $35 million currently locked that no one knows how to unlock. And that's the second bug after the first one of someone was able to temporarily lock them in. Move languages made originally, the history of DM was made for banks where bugs like this could potentially be millions or billions of dollars of losses. And so Move is a very secure language from the ground up. Much like with C++, it's very easy to shoot yourself in the foot, but with Rust, a lot of the common mistakes that developers will make in C++ are just impossible, and the compiler prevents you from ever writing code like that. Similarly in Move, there's a lot of the same. So resources can never be accidentally dropped, resources can never accidentally be duplicated. There's a huge amount of benefit that comes fundamentally from the way that Move is structured. And I highly recommend you to take a look at it. It's definitely a different paradigm from what people are used to coming from Ethereum or Solana. But if you take a look at Magnum's articles, for example, we've had a lot of people really fall in love with it after getting into it, specifically because it's extremely decentralized. It's an L1 instead of having to do rollups across a bunch of different competing L2s. It's high throughput, low time to finality, and the Move language gives you a lot of safety. Anyone else wants to?
I just want to jump in as well. So besides the developer experience, I think Max highlighted some of these properties, but L2s versus L1s, there's an interesting user experience trade-off there from having to bridge assets and time to withdrawal, as well as having to deal with maybe less secure models out there in the L2 space. And from a latency perspective, having to wait till those things kind of make it back to the L1 chain, obviously there's some cost as well. So we think that actually having this together in an L1 where you can have a great developer experience and high throughput and low latency, low finality is something that would really benefit the user experience as well as developers.
How will we know that we got into the 100 validators after all there's no connection? So that's coming. We will be introducing the concept of Aptos identity. You'll be able to, it'll be part of a larger effort around a community platform. So you'll be able to log on. We're first focusing on the incentivized testnet for developers. It'll have instructions for adding your address that you wish to use on mainnet, which should definitely be a different key than you use on other networks, to get paid rewards out. And there will be a dashboard basically for everyone to see acceptance, to see what the network sees as the performance of your node, all of that stuff. So that is coming very, very soon, and we will definitely let you know when it is. And we will be using that community platform for incentivized testnets going forward as well. So it'll be the central place. And eventually, there will be a tie-in to potentially a forum, tie-in to Aptos University, and the larger community platform that you'd expect to see in the ecosystem. Today, we ask questions and developer answer us. Yes, Andrew, today is that day. Let's see. Are you looking into more partners for edge nodes? Yes? I don't know if you want to speak to that one.
I mean, definitely we always want as many people as we can to run our nodes, help secure the network, right? So when you run a node, you're helping to validate that, first of all, there's a replication of that, the state of the chain everywhere, and the more, of course, is just going to get stronger. The other thing, of course, is re-executing those transactions, making sure that the execution that's done by the validators is correct. And just providing better access to our database, essentially, is going to be something that just benefits the application space in general. So it's great. The more people that want to run nodes, the better.
Let's see.
You skip the one, how do you know that you got 100 validators?
Answer that one. Yeah, the 100 validators, it's the community platform that is coming. Let's see, do we have to worry about our privacy knowing that big tech is now involved? There is no more or less privacy, I think, than you would get on Ethereum or anything like that. Unless you decide to put your address on your Twitter, for example, no one can really understand it's you. Of course, all the standard stuff of, if you use Coinbase or whatever, marketplace or exchange, and you send tokens from there to your accounts, Coinbase or whoever definitely knows because of KYC. But anyone else looking at it just sees transactions between arbitrary addresses, and there's no way for anyone else to know. The partnership with Google specifically is around running these nodes, so they don't get any additional information. They don't know your keys or anything else. It's running in their industry-leading, very secure Google Cloud platform.
Just just to add a little bit to that, I mean, one of the reasons why we engaged with Google was because we think that running cloud nodes in cloud infrastructure is a great way to kind of be both decentralized and have high operational reliability, which is something we all I think want for the network. And these kind of partnerships that make it easier and lower the barrier to entry just provide a much better path to that coming to fruition.
Yeah, and then just going back to the question, right? Like we want to do that without compromising privacy. No doubt about it. I think there's going to be a level of consistency around putting privacy at the top when we think about just expanding the network and making sure not only Google but other partners that we might work with. So yeah, we certainly take privacy very, very seriously. So maybe the answer to that question is yes, you can expect a level of privacy as you would at some of these larger organizations, but we want to think about it in the framework of Web3, and some of that we'll look to get input as we continue to expand and grow.
Question: are you looking for more providers in addition to Google?
For sure, we are engaging with many different type of partners and node providers, big companies, small companies, individuals even, and we definitely wanted to engage with as much as cloud providers as possible. Like we mentioned earlier, the thing we really care about is the decentralization and reliability. So whoever can provide this type of expertise and resources to help achieve these goals, we'd like to engage with them. So yes, we're in conversation with many more partners.
Is there, Sherry, is there a place to reach out if someone else is interested in us?
For sure, feel free to ping us in Discord. Feel free to ping me. I think a couple of the node provider actually reach out to me through the Discord. So I will not be replying back to every DM messages, but if it's a legit and you send me a website links that helps me understand what's your business models and what kind of services you provide, I will engage.
Can we talk a bit about the NFT Marketplace? So the NFT Marketplace is a community project. There is no official NFT Marketplace. And the NFT standards that we have are a prototype in a way. They're totally functional. But we would really, really love the community's input on them. If you have any ideas, please open an issue. Please propose changes. We would really love to see that. And there's definitely going to be maturation of that space as we get closer to mainnet.
We actually just published a long issue yesterday discussing potential enhancements to the NFT token standard. So head into our GitHub issues, add comments, review, and even get feedback about what exists right now. That'd be extremely useful.
Fantastic. The community is on it. Amazing. Awesome. Are there any plans to support U256 in the Move fork? I know there was some work on it in dm/move when they wanted to support Ethereum.
I think there is active proposal to support type in the move option so that we can if that gets settled, we can directly import from there. And if not, we can move fast on our own fork.
What's the story around Aptos CLI? Are you going to redesign the Move CLI interface?
Yes. So the short answer is yes. Move CLI is not going to be adjusted because that's actually in Move language by itself. But the Aptos CLI is being rebuilt. Some of the functionality in Move CLI so that you can add publishing, running functions, compiling, and testing all in one place. And additionally, put some automation, be able to put automation about it so then you can compile in other tools or other tools built around other languages.
I think also the Aptos CLI's got two goals. One is to be able to interact with like a local running sandbox testnet environment, but also to be able to connect to DevNets or other networks, so you don't have to go and learn multiple tools to solve the same problem in different spaces. You can have a consistent experience throughout.
Yep, and I'd love any feedback that you have on the Aptos CLI. I'll put it in if it's something that means something. Yeah.
File an issue.
Yeah.
That's always the way to go.
Always get issues.
How does Mo have such effortless swag?
Who did you pay for that question?
Nobody. I guess. I mean, I'm from New York, so that helps. But I don't know. I mean, physically, like attire-wise, my wife helps me get dressed sometimes in the morning. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Do you know who asked that question?
Who?
It's Mason.
God. Thank you, Mason.
Let's see. So now we're going to be switching over to questions from Twitch. KB Consultant 45 asks, let's see. Disk space. What do you think basically about when installing the node and adding a disk to it? What do you think about enforcing a minimum file size availability to prevent the node as the network grows from running out of space?
Sherry, did you want to?
So you're basically proposing, can we have like a minimum requirements pre-run tool? I don't think there's necessarily anything against that.
I guess it depends where you deploy, right? So if you're deploying this on your own node, of course you're gonna have to kind of provision the space as necessary. But what we thought about is in cloud environments, at least, you could kind of start with a smaller disk, and then like as the network grows in size, you could choose to opt to resize to larger partitions going forward. And as well, the other option you'll have over time is to actually just keep limited amount of history to also not have to just keep adding more and more space to your node.
We also have those like lower disk space alerts so that you will just get notified and to expand it.
There are plenty of monitoring tools in the Aptos core repo that'll help you do that.
Do we plan to be interoperable with other blockchains? If yes, two questions. Are we going to use a Polkadot bridge? And secondly, do we plan to develop a project like Moonbeam to make a compatible version of Move on Polkadot?
I can answer this one. So, I mean, our goal is definitely to be as interoperable as possible with everyone out there. We're already in discussions with several of the, many of the bridging protocols that come and initiate conversations with us, and we're in discussions about the best way to move forward on each of those different projects, and also, but keeping in mind the bridging issues we've seen in the past, being very thoughtful about security and how to kind of do this in a thoughtful and safe way.
Who are the hackathon judges?
All of us, everyone.
Yeah.
It's Aptos team.
Yeah, for this first hackathon, it's relatively informal. It'll be some members from Aptos, potentially someone else as well. But going forward, after this kind of local trial run, when we get to larger hackathons globally, that's definitely something that we'd like to evaluate and potentially get community feedback for.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think Max is exactly right. Like it's a local run. It's our first take at this, so we appreciate everyone being patient with us, give us feedback, and help us become smarter and better. And from there, we definitely want to open this up. Right, this one is in person, and we're keeping it quite contained because we don't want to have a splatter that's large out there. But for the next one, we do want to open it up and have a virtual opportunity where everyone can participate, and we can have much broader participation in terms of helping us evaluate what projects deserve to be rewarded. So it's a great question, and yeah, I think the goal is certainly to open things up after our first dry run. But I do think we have a plan of sharing the learnings and the projects that come out of the smaller run, also with the broader community. So.
Might be able to live stream our workshops, or at least a recording for like what kinds of workshops or presentations we did during the hackathon with the community.
That'd be great.
Fantastic.
I think there's a question about the SDK you missed. Where? Zorgal?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I will have it offline.
Okay.
That's cross course errors are very close to my heart, so I will definitely help you offline, Zorgal.
Should we go to the?
Yeah, let's
We
go
have
to
three hands raised in the audience, so let's go through them.
Participation.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Rami Ghazuddin. Actually, I'm in a group of node runners. We run nodes for several blockchains, and nowadays we are participating in Pocket, and we are very interested to run nodes for Aptos. And it was very helpful also, the articles which it displayed. But upon the 100 validators which you will select for the testnet, is there any rewards you will give it for the node runners? And in the future, will you give any privilege if we are in the testnet, since we are just preparing for this project?
For sure. I think
Thank you.
we are still trying to figure out the details of how we are rewarding people and what would be the criteria and how do we measure it, what would be the threshold, what kinds of dashboard we're going to build for people to see what's their scores, and so that like we all have a transparent measurement and the leaderboard for this type of event. We're still working on the details. We will publish as soon as we have them. And also for the initial one, similar like our hackathon, this is first incentivized testnet will be our dry run, our test run, for our team to learn what it takes to actually organize a decentralized setup or a stand-up for a network, right? We've never done this with a large scale of community before, so we wanted to make sure we have control it to a smaller scale before we open it up further. That's the purpose for the first incentivize. So it's not like if you miss the first one, you will never have a chance or you have a privilege or something. We will try to make it as fair as possible and make sure people all get a chance to participate in the future stages.
Excellent. Actually, also I'm in a group we participated in on top crypto projects. We backed up, we are a member in a VC, and unfortunately we were not having the opportunity to invest directly with you at this time, since you closed the fundings. But we are watching very closely the project and how it will be performing. And last time I was reading an article about that you reach 160,000 transactions per second. And you know, upon this number of a transaction, is there any sacrifice between the scalability and the privacy of the transactions? How much you are focusing on the privacy? As you know, nowadays it's a big issue, the privacy in the blockchain.
It's a great question. So one thing we have that I think some of the other chains have been facing in the space, we do have a fee-based market, right? We have gas prices for the transactions. We also have sequence numbers associated with accounts, which also kind of disincentivizes people to just keep spamming the leader over and over, as you see in certain other networks, which are just kind of first come, first serve. So there's not much incentive actually for people to kind of just go around and do that over and over in a network like this. So that's one thing we're doing, but we're also keeping a close eye and building up interesting work around denial of service attacks just generally across the network. And we'll have more plans to share probably down the line around those specific things. Getting back to your question though about the incentives on the 100 validators that we're starting with, and of course expanding to more later. Just want to remind folks that the goal really here is to build out a super reliable network. I mean, we have metrics that we're going to check whether both on-chain and off-chain, but the goal really is how do we, together with every one of you, build out this infrastructure that's going to be able to be the backbone for lots of transactions for billions of people. And so what we're looking to really just find those partners in the space that are going to help us to be super responsive, help us to actually build up our documentation and our tooling, and also be able to provide feedback along the way with respect to what we can do to make sure that we have the most reliable and operational network out there.
Yeah, and going back to Shikar's point, it's reliability and fairness, right? So just be patient with us. We've paid attention to all the other networks out there, and we're going to push ourselves to be even more meritocratic relative to the L1s out there in the market today. So I think you've gotten a sense of that from Sherry and from Avery. If you have specific comments on the 160,000 transactions per second, you have Zekun, Rati, and Sasha here in the room. So if you have a follow-up, they can answer. But You can also ping us on Discord if you have specific questions later on.
I can add a few words.
Just speak up.
Oh yeah, I can add a few words. We all like to let the numbers speak, but also be transparent with the numbers. So 160 TPS is for the execution component of the blockchain, and this is a key component. And we're working really hard to make sure that other components of the blockchain scale equally well, so we can get that TPS for the whole blockchain. But as the paper made clear, and all the experiments are replicatable, this is for the execution component. So if you give us a block of transactions, this is the number of transactions per second that we are able to execute. And we are really invested in moving the blockchain technology as a whole forward. We've been giving seminars everywhere. Some of those will be uploaded on YouTube, and we're going to share for more details. Cool.
Excellent. But I would have another question. Actually, are you available for an AMA in our group if I want to discuss this matter with them? It's good. We get to understand more things about the project. Do you have any plans, or would you accept to invite you for AMA in our group?
I'm not sure what if the question is to have a follow-up conversation to dive a little bit specifically into some of the things. If so, then you could probably message one of us on Discord, and we can take it offline.
Also, info@aptoslabs.com. It's our email address for inquiries and other information requests.
Yeah, and Avery and I see those emails.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just send us an
Actually, I sent an email from 2 weeks ago, but there is no response from Aptos.
It's info@aptoslabs.com, not aptos.com. So I saw some of you guys mentioned an email address with aptos.com. Unfortunately, we didn't get that domain, so make sure you send to the right address. Yeah.
No, I will send again an email, and I will try to connect here in the Discord, and it will be a pleasure for us to host you even on later stages, even when you go live. Just we can bring more popularity for the project. We can help in many aspects, and we can bring some of our experiences in the crypto space. Thank you very much.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Paul again.
Hello.
Hello.
I have one big question that includes several small ones. So, do you have a vision of your brand, and how should it look like? What image should we use? What topic should we look at? And in what direction should we move when we create content, like some GIFs, sticks, or pictures? Maybe it is some kind of live space team or C team.
Yeah. So
or it should be.
These are really great questions. James is the perfect contact for that, and James does have a workshop every Wednesday, to talk about things related to the larger community as a whole. We're here more specifically to answer questions about developments, developer questions, technical questions. If you have any of those, we can definitely help. But with brand guidelines, as most of us are engineers, we are definitely the wrong people to ask about the specifics of that.
I could maybe just talk about the brand overall, and more from a cultural perspective, right? So I think Mac's absolutely right. If there are specifics, that James is absolutely the right place for that. But this is maybe a good reminder of where we started off, right? Aptos, as the word itself, is a Ohlone word, which was a Native American tribe that inhabited a large part of the Bay Area. But the word in Ohlone means for the people. Right, and as we think about who we are, everyone on this call, everyone in our Discord, the pursuit of decentralization for the people really means a lot to us as you thread decentralization all the way down to who we're building applications for. And some of the questions, just to bring them back thematically, right? You hear the points around Sherry of how we think about reward distribution, how we want to loop in people very early on and give us feedback. We think about all walks of life globally. We think about all sorts of folks that are excited about Web3, whether you're a developer or you're interested in creating content for us, or you want to just participate and be part of our community. And I think that's a very simple takeaway. Just reminding ourselves of what our name means, I think is a good starting point. In terms of brand guidelines, I think, again, James is going to be the right person for that. So, and if you do create some cool GIFs, we have our meme wall here, which you can't see, but we promise to post these pictures of all the amazing community contributions in the meme channel. Is my favorite channel, but our team prints them out and puts them up, and we want to fill up all the white space here with all your cool memes. So keep them coming.
Okay, I understand you. Thank you a lot.
Cool. Thanks,
Thanks, Paul. Workrun, hello. There you go. Yeah. What can we answer for you?
I got one question. It's about incentivized testnets, and I want to ask you about choosing people. Like, it will depend on how long do they run in nodes, or it would be fully random.
We haven't decided the exact mechanism we're going to use here. We're exploring a couple different options right now. We're in still brainstorming and what would make the most sense. Also, we wanted to make sure the first incentivized testnet is as much learning as we can get from this process. We wanted to make sure it's successful and it's meaningful. It introduced the documentations to our community. You guys can help us test out, give us feedback. We can learn a lot about how you use the toolings, the experience. So obviously, with folks are having experience and so far participating with us, you've already been helping us a lot on giving feedback constantly, creating actual tutorials. We're thinking about a couple of different ways, and we will let you know what would be the final rules and then the guidelines we settled on.
And the goal, of course, is to let as many people as possible participate and have it be as fair as possible. So there will definitely be an element of randomness in it, just to try to ensure that as many people get a fair shot as possible.
So, as I can see in your Discord channel, the nodes operator is 10,000. Yeah, and is it enough or is it too much?
It's definitely a lot for us to start from the initial first testnet, right? We have no idea how to build a tooling that works for 14,000 people from different time zones, different countries, speak different languages. How does the documentation even make sense to them? And since this is going to be decentralized setup, will we be even successfully start up the network if people won't be able to come up online at the same time? So there's many factors we need to think about. We love to see these numbers. We love to see all the participation, but at the same time, this number is also a little overwhelming for us and very excited to try out our stress testing all of our toolings and stacks to make sure everybody can enjoy this experience and we can learn a lot for scaling in the future. We definitely wanted to support all of you guys. That's the goal.
Yeah. And as we move from the first incentivized testnet to the second, third, fourth, you'll see that there's more pieces there around governance, larger decentralization, potentially validator sets, really going from this 100, which really is a lot of testing on our end for operations and the like, to by incentivized testnet 4 or 5, and we start to resemble what mainnet will look like, where we have basically anyone is able to run a validator more or less, and the world is fully decentralized. Does that answer your question? Does that work?
Oh, excuse me, I hadn't heard the last few words.
Yeah, we will be moving towards, through the incentivized testnets, we will be increasingly decentralized, and by the end, basically, we'll be resembling the fully decentralized world of mainnet, where more or less anyone can run a validator.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Cool. Thank you for the question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, and I have one more question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and let's imagine like I want to become an Aptos member, and what knowledge I must to have to join to your team?
That's a great question. Thank you for setting that one up. So we do have a careers page at aptoslabs.com/careers. There are a large number of roles, and also there is a role if we don't have something for your particular skill set. We are hiring across product, engineering, I believe there's a role for design, really marketing, really the whole range. We're hiring all over.
Research too.
And research, yes, sorry. There are many teams that we are hiring across. So I take a look at those careers, and if none of those jump out at you particularly, there is a role for the general. So please feel free to submit your resume to that, and someone will take a look.
Okay, thank you, I got you.
Thank you for the question. Okay, next.
Captain Simco, yeah. Hello. Can you hear us?
If not, we will move you to the audience. Please raise hand again once you have a question.
I think we have a couple.
Yeah, I saw one in Twitch.
Yeah, there's one in Twitch.
Okay, he's back.
Hi guys, sorry, I forgot that I had the push to talk button. Greetings everyone, I'm very happy to see that your team is growing. It's really exciting. And I asked this question once we have the first Monday calls about KYC, and the key question was about any political decisions to allow people from CIS countries, from Russia, from Ukraine, from Belarus as well. Any ideas about it?
Yeah, so we did hire our first, I guess not our first, RGC, who started last week, which is exciting. General counsel, it's head legal basically for Aptos Labs. As we're getting much closer to the testnet, this is definitely something that is a large question for all of us. So we will have very details about exactly what we need to do soon. It's likely that KYC is a requirement specifically because throughout incentivized testnets, we are potentially giving out a fairly significant amount of incentives across everything. The specifics around the current political situation will have to follow whatever laws, of course, our government imposes on us. But we are, we will definitely communicate relatively soon, specifically the requirements KYC-wise and also participation.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for the answer.
Thanks for the question. Any more question in the thread?
Yeah.
Twitch.
How technically expensive was it deriving Aptos from the DM repo, and what are some key changes that we've made?
We almost lost a coon. It wasn't, I mean, the big part was we're moving from a permission network to a permissionless network, a proof of authority to a proof of stake. We're improving interfaces, stripping out legacy interfaces. And so, I mean, there's been a lot of work. I mean, you can look at the revision history. I would suspect a majority of that goes and funnels into that space. We've also spent a lot of time just better integrating with the upstream move because there's just been such great advancements there that we're just finally starting to see some of those benefits come through our repo. For instance, if you've actually noticed historically, we had to take for the move entry points or the script functions, we had to move in a signer there, which made interfaces for scripts had to be different than just other functions on the move modules, and we're able to actually unify those because of our working relationship with the folks in the move space. And we've got a whole bunch of other things coming down the pipeline in that regards. But just in general, it's been fun.
It's a tremendous change,
Yeah.
even though like it does sound like we're taking the tech stacks, but there's actually a lot of huge changes. Like lots of the assumptions we had before at DM, it doesn't stand anymore. The whole changes from the, permission to decentralization is actually a really big change. We're never expecting to have 14,000 nodes running on our network, for example.
Yeah, and if you're interested in more, like we've got the Medium roadmap, and that covers a lot of the remaining pieces that still need to be put into place to actually really embrace this permissionless proof of stake network that we're building here.
Yeah, and just beyond obviously the big change that Dave was mentioning from permissionless to permission to permissionless, there's been a lot of new work around performance, like the compile execution of the code that's come in, and making it very practical and tested. The other things, of course, have been called out before, which is the major changes to storage, which are hard to do after launch. We are doing now to make sure that this network will be extremely scalable for different kinds of use cases going forward. So we're really excited about, of course, leveraging a lot of the work we've done in the past, but our team is also focused on doing tremendous amount of value add to this before it comes to market, essentially.
This isn't your legacy DM product. This is a brand new, amazing piece of technology.
Brand new, yes.
Do we have anyone else in the voice chat? Otherwise, I think we've exhausted the questions. All right. Fantastic. Thank you everyone for joining us on this Move Monday. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for contributions. Thank you for opening GitHub issues that I didn't even know existed yet. It's really awesome to see the community stepping up and becoming a real community. We will do this again next Monday, same time, same place. Have a great week.
Thank you all.
Thank you.